Welcome back to another live stream appointment of today's Communicators. I'm your host, Kris Reichert, and we are multi-streaming right now to various platforms. We're going to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to YouTube, and I am really excited about my special guest in the broadcast media studios with me today. We have got CEO and founder of Hyperloop Italy. He is a thought leader. He is a technological pioneer. Let me please welcome Mr. Gresto, better or otherwise known as Bebop Gresto. How are you?
Fantastic, Kris. It's so much time that we haven't been able to interact. I'm so happy to see you. You look wonderful as usual.
Well, so do you. So do you. It's so great to see you. And don't we just love technology because it gives us the possibility to be anywhere in the world and to be back in connection, right?
Yes, and well, we had enough of video calling last year, but yeah, that is incredible. I'm basically spending my time doing, video calls and interviews all over the world. So yeah, the world changed, and I think technology has enabled it.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. But what we're doing is we're shortening the distance, which is a lot of what you're all about lately. In fact, I want to talk all about Hyperloop because I remember a few years ago, I was in touch with you and I remember getting in contact with you and I asked you if you were available for something I was doing, probably wanting to interview you for something because I also had you on my radio show quite a few years ago. And you got back to me and you said, Kris, I'm really sorry, but I'm not available because I am so excitedly changing the world right now as we speak for the better. And Bebop, that phrase hit me so hard. And I was like, wow, this man is incredible because you had such conviction in the way you said that. You're changing the world and you are convinced. And that is it. You are on your direction. You're in that direction and you're barreling forward. Now, did you always feel that in your life, you were destined to do something great, that you were going to achieve greatness like you're doing right now?
I think everybody of us has this feeling that sooner or later we will do something that has an impact in the world. I think we are all hoping that. But I probably discovered too late that you can actually do it by single actions, by by diverting your life in the direction that actually make this happen. I was here working on startups. I started up more than 60 companies in Italy through digital magic. So then I listed in a stock exchange. But I was feeling there was a little closed circle where I wasn't really making a dent on the future, on humanity. That's why I felt the need when I was 40, couple of years ago,
wink, wink,
to actually go in California where the action is. And I said, if I don't do it now, I will never do it. And at the beginning, I didn't know what to do because I've had a bunch of money from the stock exchange. So for the first time, I could be relaxed and not really doing anything. But that's not my my nature, right? Yeah. So I started charity. I worked on this project that was the Curates project. We raised $500 million through the Curates Foundation. Wow. And that was exciting because I was really feeling I was doing something useful. But, when Elon published the white paper, he was saying, listen, the high-speed rail, it's an old technology. It doesn't work here in America. It doesn't make sense. But there's this technology, he didn't invent anything because at the end, that technology was conceived in the 18th century. Not a lot of people knows, Not a lot of people knows, Kris, that the first Hyperloop is actually the New York subway. So the first kilometer of the New York subway between Broadway and Warren was built by an entrepreneur called Eli Beach, a crazy visionary that was thinking about making a train travel without pressure using pneumatic pumps. 1889. He dig 7 kilometers He never get permission for that. He just dig out a kilometer. And unfortunately, it was, he built this. It was working, very rudimental, didn't have levitation or all the other stuff. But he pitched the idea to JP Morgan. JP Morgan at that time invested in the rail. He said, what do you want to do? You want to kill the rails? Oh, not on my watch. He called the police on him and he made him shut down everything. And then he bought from the scraps of the bankruptcy this evil person and built the New York subway. So
wow, that is so phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's great. So, okay, so for anybody who's watching this live stream or that catches the recording and that doesn't exactly know yet, although it would be strange, what Hyperloop is, it's a new form of technology, which actually, when introduced to the world, could really have humankind do a quantum leap as far as in terms of technological progress, because this is a new and innovative form of technology used for this type of Hyperloop transportation. So could you just explain maybe in a nutshell how it works?
Yeah. So imagine to have a capsule full of people. Okay. You put this capsule inside the tube. You take out the air from the tube, so there's no resistance. And now you can move the capsule from point A to point B at almost the speed of sound using a tiny fraction of the energy.
Wow.
That is the main concept. So when Elon published that white paper in 2013, 2 weeks later, me and my co-founder, we thought it was a shame not to do it. If he was right, we were gonna change the world. So we called him and we asked if he was allowing us to do it. And he said, sure. I mean, I gave it open source. So if you want to do it, guys, do it. And the rest is history, because we created the first Hyperloop company. We trademarked the brand Hyperloop in 56 countries. And we started to develop IPs. But we did it in a very particular way. If it wasn't that already difficult, right? We add a complexity. Instead of raising as much money as we can and then spend it as fast as we can, we said, we want to do this with the help of the best and the brightest mind in the planet.
Wow.
And so we did a call to action. And we said, if you want to join us, we will give you in exchange pieces of the company, so stocks of the company. And what happened after is magic, Kris.
Wow.
We've been overwhelmed of people from all over the planet. There were people from NASA, SpaceX, Tesla, Boeing, Aerospace, Lockheed Martin, MIT, Stanford. It was crazy. I was in charge of selecting all these people. And out of all this mass of people that was trying to join, we found the inventor of the vacuum pumps, the Professor Richard Post that invented electromagnetism with Einstein in the Lawrence Livermore lab. There was the founder.
My mind, Bebop.
There was the founder of the Apollo mission inside NASA.
No way! Oh my goodness!
And so on and so forth. So we immediately understood that we were on something that was bigger than the Hyperloop. It's a new generation of companies that can actually change everything.
It's revolutionary. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys are going down in history. History books are being written about you right now. This is amazing.
I didn't do anything. It's all this amazing team of people. Now we have.
Well, you have the vision. Scientists. You're the visionary, and I get it. This is why you're considered a thought leader, because you put the pieces together. You created this whole network. And in fact, I've got to read this. So Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, which is known as HTT, is the largest company ever built on a collaborative business ecosystem. I mean, you alone you were overseeing 800 engineers, and you had
42 countries.
Partners. And 50 partners. Like, how many people can do that in the world? This is incredible. I mean, you have, this is also a revolutionary step as far as socio-business relationships.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Not many people on this planet are capable of doing something like that, this incredible, inclusive and harmonic process. So what were some of the key elements? How did you do that?
So at the beginning, it was really a matter of organizing and selecting. Usually you are seeking, as an entrepreneur, you have to business develop. No, my role at the beginning was selection, because it was overwhelmingly push. The entire planet was pushing ideas and workforce, and we had to select it. You have to imagine, Kris, that now in 2016, Harvard did a case study on us, and there's a course now in Harvard that teach my organization model. So there are other startups now. They are formed on my organizational model to solve the other problems. We have a tool now, an organization model that can solve energy, food, housing, all the biggest problems of humanity. If you think about it, we have all the technology to solve all humanity's biggest problem. If you think about it, food, for example, we are producing food for 11 billion people. We are 7 billion and 2 billion are starving. This is not a problem of technology. It's a problem of organization. So that is really promising, because if we are solving the transportation industry, we can apply the same model to all the others. And the results are amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be considered, hey, she's that girl that interviewed Bebop Gresto.
No, come on, shut up. No, listen, they will forget me like a lot of... The important thing is this thing get built. And that's what we are doing right now. The reason why I'm in Italy is for that, because I had to choose 3 places in the planet. We were working in Abu Dhabi, in Ohio, or in Italy. And crazy enough, in 2019, the head of ANAS, the national manager of highways, came to us with a delegation of Veneto. There is a northern east region of Italy. Yeah. And he came to us to explain me something that we didn't know. So apparently in Italy, during the post-war, the 50s, they rebuilt the entire infrastructure of rails and highways, building aside of it a corridor that they call it Relict. So it's a 20 meters long corridor of free space that nobody can build on, and it's free from 20 to 60 meters. And Italy is the only country in the world that has this by law. So we had an incredible opportunity, because now we have 30,000 kilometers of corridor that can be used to build an Hyperloop network.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of people say, well, you came back to Italy because you're missing mom. No, it's not.
Yeah. No, that's so great, because look at Italy is really going down in history right now as well, because we took home Eurovision first place, right. Then the European Soccer Cup or football, right. And now Hyperloop is going to be in Italy, because it's one of the only countries that has the available space to do so. This is fantastic.
And I had to resign as a chairman of the global company, because this project has to, be implemented, and in the time and in the way that we planned. So I was selected in the company, maybe because I'm Italian and because I'm the founder, to actually be the person who was implementing the first Hyperloop in the world. And it's tough, it's not easy, because I arrived here and COVID hit. So I was really, really crazy. But in the meantime, I have to admit, because Italy is a little slow in all the processes, I needed time to convince the government to find the right spot and so on. So now I cannot yet tell you what's going on, but let's say by the end of the year, we will be announcing a very important milestone for Hyperloop and for Italy. So, well, a lot of people is already imagining, because I'm here And
Looking forward
so
to that then.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But there's a big project with the amazing partner, and we have a very, very nice surprise for the Italian people.
Good. Okay. Can't wait to hear about that. Can I consider myself an Italian person since I do reside here and I have for 25 years?
Of course, Kris,
First,
you're an honorary citizen from the beginning. I remember with you, we started MTV Italy.
Yes, absolutely. And so usually, well, half of what I do, my profession is in Italian, but I wanted to do this interview in English because I know that you've lived abroad so many years. Your English is fantastic. And also,
Oh, thank you.
this is something that on a communicative level needs to arrive to the world and not just Italy, because Italians can understand English. So let's just do it for everybody. So apart from your amazing entrepreneurial endeavors, you are also a world-renowned speaker. And you've impacted so many people's lives by your incredible talks. You've done TED Talks. You've spoken at the World Forum. I mean, you've done a lot of amazing things. Because I know, and what probably not very many people know, is that you have a television background. You were a presenter. So you have this natural charisma, this natural way of communicating with other people. And I wanted to ask you how important that is for you in your line of work to be a strong communicator in your business relationships.
Kris, thank you for the question. Really smart question, because I think it was 90% of the success. Yeah. At the beginning, imagine we've had Elon Musk with the white paper, 100 scientists telling us you can do it, but nothing on hand. Before being able to raise more than 260 million, we were me, my buddy, and a napkin where we were designing the organization of this thing. Yeah. So imagine the communication skill was the single most important factor. Now you can say, a lot of people says I'm the face of the Hyperloop worldwide. Italy, I honestly is the country that knows less about the Hyperloop, but I've been meeting more than 50 prime ministers. I met Modi, Angela Merkel, Putin, all the prime minister and presidents of the world. I've been in more than 50 countries around the world. And the only tools that I've had is a communication skill to actually make everybody understand and fall in love with the concept. And that is the toughest part when you're talking about building such an important infrastructure. You have to convince, really you have to become skilled on the technology. And I'm not an engineer. So imagine, I spoke on the World Engineering Association. That was one of my tasks. Imagine to be in a stage in front of 3,000 engineers and pretending to tell them what is their new job. That is scary, Kris. That is scary. You need to be really skilled on communication. And that was the most difficult part of my job.
Yeah,
I think I managed now.
When you're pitching, it's not just a simple pitch. You've got to read the people you're talking to. You have to read if they've got an analytical mind, if they're on an emotional basis, if it's strictly numbers. You've got to understand who you're talking to, and you've got to be flexible. And that's where a master communicator really, really makes a difference, which is what you are.
Yes.
And wow, that is so impressive. After, my experience is this compared to yours, but I've worked, for 20 plus years in broadcast media as a television presenter. I started at MTV, then I went on to different television shows and also as a radio host. But I believe that communication is the basis and the foundation for any, long-standing relationship, whether it be personal or professional. And which is why I decided to turn it around and to give back, and I became a coach. So I'm now a communications coach where I coach people to either communicate on video. So a video communications coach, and also communicating like public speaking. So being able
nice. I didn't know that.
And my coaching program is called Speak with Impact. So I love
always been my favorite host. So that is awesome.
Yeah. So So I wanted to ask you what you could advise any entrepreneurs out there that maybe would like to follow in your footsteps and have some of the successes that you've had, as far as in terms of communicating, how important it is and what they can do to strengthen their communication skills so that they can achieve, some of those, those obstacles, they can get past those obstacles and achieve their goals.
So I think, first suggestion will be study. There's a lot of very good books on the topics. Pitch Anything is one of my masterpieces because it's really good.
You advised me to buy this book, and I have to do it since you mentioned it.
Nice.
Yes, and you also told me to buy. I listened to you. I really did listen to you, Bebop. This one I bought as well.
Nice,
right?
Nice.
It was you that told me to get this as well, right?
Yes. Wow. Okay. Good. These are very two books. There's another one that is Talking the Winner's Way. This is another very good communicator. She's an amazing woman, and she really mastered, the topic of empathy. Okay, that is very important. But my suggestion is also becoming very skilled on the topic that you are dealing with. You need to become the best on the topic that you're dealing with, especially knowing the topic in the aspect of how they impact people, how the topic impact people, because you need to make your topic relevant for the people that listen. And our attention span is really shrinking. So we need really to be relevant for the person. There's a guy called McLuhan that says you need a third level of communication. The first level is a simple communication. You speak, the other listen. There's a second level that is called meta communication, that I speak, but I mean something else. For example, I can say, this is good. Or I can say, yeah, this is good. I said something, but I mean the opposite, right?
Yes.
There's a third level of communication that I change the person that is receiving my communication. And if you do that, that is one of the most effective way to communicate, because from that moment, the other person is not the same anymore. And you can do it in thousands of ways, in good and bad. For example, if you see this interview, and all of a sudden I turn my camera, and you see that everything I say, it's written in a text, you will change the way you perceive me, because it is right. So a stupid example of third level of communication is fundamentally, having a bad perception of someone,
right,
from an external agent, and so on. So you need to learn how to communicate in a way that you change the other people. So after this communication, he is changed forever, and that is very important. I think for example, in this conversation, we were talking about new way to organizing companies, right? Yeah. Well, from this moment, probably a lot of people that were listening to this interview will start to think differently about startups. Maybe thinking, how can I do the same on organizing my startup in a way that people can contribute and become owner of this startup, And that's one example.
Very interesting. Yeah, I wanted to say a couple of things about these different levels of communication, because the second level, interesting enough, is I've just lost my train of thought. Yes, the second level. So the third level,
meta communication. So you say something, but it means something else.
Oh, okay. So it's the first level. It's the relevant level. So it has to be relevant to who you're talking to, right? Yeah. Is that the first level of communication?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of what marketing today is based on. It's based on you give the people what they need in their lives, not necessarily just this amazing product, but it has to be relevant to them and what's needed in society. And so you have to show people what the advantage points are and what they're going to gain by, doing a certain thing. So it has to be relevant. Yeah. So all of marketing is based on that.
right now there's a switch that happened. You know, I was with Oprah Winfrey and the head of Procter and Gamble at the Upfront in New York, and I was hearing them. Yeah, and I was hearing them speaking about this new generation that from 18 to 30 years old, there's a cross generation. They call it the Y generation, not Y, because the Y generation was something else, but why? They ask why about the things, right? And they decide in 14 steps. In my generation, you're much younger, but in my generation, we were deciding in 3 steps. Watch TV, read a newspaper, buy. Homer Simpson, basically. Sometimes we skip the newspaper, buy. Right. Watch TV, buy. Okay. This new generation decides in 12 steps, and there are 1.8 billion people. Is the most populous generation that ever walked in this planet. They have 63% are mixed, not white, but mixed, okay? And they haven't voted yet. So this new generation is a giant marketing cluster that hasn't voted, hasn't expressed their opinion, and they are the toughest to reach by the marketing. If you understand the why, and you can hook them and be relevant to them, then the future is yours. And Oprah her head and said, here's representing this generation. I call that the Hyperloop generation. I was like, yeah.
Wow, this is so fascinating. Wow. This is so interesting to think about because, you know, when I'm trying to even just, for example, sell my coaching program, I've got to release promos and I've got to kind of like pitch online in a way. And you really have to be clear with who your target is and who you're talking to. And I just avoid that entire segment, that cluster altogether, because I don't know how to appeal to them because I'm of a different mindset. And so I go for, 30 and above at least.
I know, but that is the toughest, but it's also the future. So if you hook them now, I was lucky because half of the prime minister that I met, they said to me, you know why I took this meeting? Because my son talked about you. So that is amazing for me because this means that we reached the right target without doing anything, basically because of the Hyperloop.
Really?
Yeah, we haven't spent a penny on marketing since the inception. 0. Whatever you saw about the Hyperloop was organic.
Fantastic. Okay, let's underline that. Love it. My son's 8 years old. 8 years old, and I don't know if just because he's my son or because children of today are built and wired in a completely different way, but there's just like a genius everywhere. And I don't know, but what would you say about that? Like children, okay, so he's not yet in this cluster group from 18 to 30. He's of the younger generation. First off, I don't even know what they're called. This new generation.
I have no idea, but right now I think they will stop labeling because they are super cross generational. So what I'm saying is that this new generation is even more interesting because imagine to be born natively in a world that doesn't have a seeking moment, but is a selection moment. They have to select information. Remember when we went to the bibliothèque? I remember the bibliothèque. You're too young.
Library.
So when we were seeking information, we had to really, really search for it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't. They are one click to everything.
It's all coming at them. So they just
say, coming at them.
What do I choose?
Right.
Interesting.
So that's why they will ask what we weren't asking. Why?
Right.
And that is powerful. It's the most powerful switch of the entire humanity. And I'm super positive about the future because of them.
Oh, this is exciting. Bebop, you've given me something to work on as a mom because it's true. There's an onslaught. It's just information, anything that they want, they got their hands on. And so it's a selection process. And of course, monitoring process for the younger children from the parents.
And that's how you change. You have to change. So parents right now has to have the role of trying to filter a little bit, especially in this delicate age. Filter until they add their own selection method.
Yes.
But the most important thing is to give them that method. So the method of selection is the most important tool you can give to your son or daughter.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, Bebop. I love where this discussion is going in really interesting areas. I wanted to ask you, of all the things you've done, all the innovations that you've been a part of, I mean, is there anything yet left on, let's say, your bucket list that you would want to do in this lifetime that you still have not done?
Yeah. So right now, I understood that what we are doing is really creating a new industry, but touching, if you have to cluster what we are doing, is space. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I've had this dream of space since I was a child. So I will end up in some planet. Probably will be Mars, but we'll see. It could be also the moon or a combination of it, maybe a space station somewhere. But that is my ultimate dream, and I will do it.
This is phenomenal. Never would I have expected. I thought, I want to buy an island and retire. No, it is the most out there. In fact, I shouldn't have expected anything less from somebody like you. Already Hyperloop, when you see images of Hyperloop, it's so futuristic. It looks like it was written in one of those futuristic novels, based in 2075. I don't know. So meanwhile, that's what you're in the process of doing, creating, and you dream of going to another planet. Love
you remind me something that not a lot of people knows about the Hyperloop. We were probably in 2014 at the beginning of everything. We just hired the first employee. There was Yaya Zun. She was a Chinese girl. We were risking to lose her because she was a designer from China and she didn't have the green card. So we had to hire her or we will lose her. And that's why we hired her. And I remember the first thing that when we hired her, I was really worried because I saw my business partner and said, I know it was very risky because we are hiring the first employee that we hire is a designer, but we are not in the design phase. What we will ask her to do? And then I went to sleep and I couldn't sleep the entire night. And then I wake up and I said, I know why we hired her. If you look at all the designs that you see at the beginning of the Hyperloop, you see these giant tubes that were going around. And I was imagining this giant tube of 4-meter diameter populating the city of the planet. And I was like, oh my God, this will be an ugly thing for the future. I don't want that thing. What do you think about when you see a pipeline? You think about gas, danger. You don't want to be near that. You don't want to be near that. So I said, that's why we hired her. We need to design something beautiful instead of a tube. And that was really the first big decision we took on the Hyperloop. If you see the new designs, they're beautiful. There's a cladding, and we are putting trees on top and solar panels. It's amazing,
It's amazing. It really is.
So that was, you see, the really beginning.
Oh, man. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so excited that not many people know that. So cool. Now, Bebop, so this is just coming to mind now. I know I've spoken with and I've read about a lot of really successful people, and they all seem to have a morning routine or something they do on a daily basis that kind of sets their mindset up in a way that they are wired for success. Is there something that you do in particular, something you think or, that has helped you throughout these years?
Yes, I do. So you have to understand that it's more than 2 years that I don't do breakfast. Breakfast is really, really bad. Was invented at the beginning of the century to make people consume eggs and bacon. Basically,
Yeah.
that was the reason why they pushed the breakfast. It was from Britain and then expanded all over the planet. In reality, the Italian culture didn't really catch up because we invented this cornetto and coffee, but the breakfast is the reason why people get fat. It's the only reason, because we don't have to eat that much. At maximum 2 times a day, you trash all the diets and so on. So instead of doing breakfast, what I do, I take my tea that I drink basically all day. I go on all day, refill it, and so on.
Is it just
And
normal black tea, or is it a special tea?
this is special because there's nuts and almonds. It's I buy tea in Amazon. It's not that complicated.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and it's super natural. So, but instead of doing breakfast, I wake up, I do my little exercise, and then I read. Right now, I am reading a very complicated book. It's called Slow Brain, Fast Brain. It's from a Nobel Prize, so it's very heavy, but usually I go lighter. There's another one in pipe. There is Cervello Elettrico, the electrical brain. But the reading part of the start of the day, it's the reason why I could do the Hyperloop, because that was my daily dose of knowledge that I could do every day. And I suggest everybody to do it. Instead of getting fat with breakfast, do this, read.
Applause. Amazing. Love that. Love that. I'm gonna take that into. I usually do a natural, shake in the morning with fruit and some, ingredients and
I
seeds.
got it. But
and
you are
almonds.
breaking the fast. If you eat at dinner and then eat at lunch, it's amazing. You just burn the eventual excess of fat that you don't have, but
Well, but I've heard so many different things. I mean, I've always had a fast metabolism, luckily, but I've heard that you need to be regular. You need to have regulative kind of meals so that your metabolism doesn't start slowing down.
That is all the bullshit that you read from this paid. There's several Nobel Prize now. All the major nutritionists are converging on the intermittent fasting. It's not intermittent fasting. We are not planned to eat 3 times a day. It's simple as that.
Wow.
It's so easy. And then you can eat. You see, your life changes because you burn exactly the right fuel that is fat. Because in the window where you don't eat, the only thing that you can eat you can burn is fat. As simple as that.
As simple as that. Excellent. Well, I have quite a few friends that are doing the intermittent fasting, and so I'm going to look into that. Definitely going to look. Maybe I'll adapt that in my new morning routine. I'll do some reading on that and skip my breakfast.
You will have more energy. Everything will be more clear. You'll see. You can run double the speed. It's
wow.
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to totally try it out, and then I'll let you know, because I always take your advice when you recommend books, because I contacted you with my startup company and stuff like that. So you've always helped me out. You've always given great advice. And Bebop, this has been phenomenal. I have absolutely loved talking with you. Thank you for this. And thank you for sharing your knowledge and your insight with anyone who's following this live stream.
Whenever you want. And thank you for having me.
I'm sending you a big hug. I really hope to see you very soon, Bebop. Take care, okay?
Thanks.
All right.
Ciao, Kris. Good luck for
ciao. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.